Well, hello and welcome to Conscious Gatherers. My name is Beverly Thompson.
And I'm AJ Royce.
We welcome you this day of January the 20th, 2026. This is our season 7 and our episode 164. So we're well into 2026 and definitely has been an interesting year. Very interesting year so far. Um, we do have a few things to share with you, and we're going to go rather deep. And so, after a bit, when we get into what we received today, let's see, how do we say all this? Because it's like, wow, you think you know reality, or you're beginning to know reality, and then something else happens, and you're like, what? What does all this
what
mean?
was that?
Yeah. And it actually goes, some of the what we've been told years and years ago, and it starts to make a little bit of sense, even though years ago it was like, what the hell,
Yeah, we heard about this stuff coming, but then when it really starts to happen, it like, oh wow, because it may not have played out exactly like you were expecting it to.
Yes.
Little different slant to it, but it's like, hold on to your seats. Here we go.
Here we go. And they said a lot of those that are awake, when I say awake, and that can mean different things, in which we've talked about that in past lifetimes. Oh my God.
That too.
That too, yes. Whatever past means. So that's what we're going to get into. What does that mean? Or other past podcasts that, reality is not exactly what we think it is. And so that's really what today's all about. Is like, okay, how does this work? And we like everything to be lined up and neat, easy to understand. And then all of a sudden you think you've got that down, and then another so-called wrench is thrown in, and you're like, what the heck? And then you start looking at just the whole dynamics of what it means to be here on this earth, be into our physical reality as we see it in our physical vessels, all of that. I mean, you start looking at it differently. Please add on.
It's just really interesting time to be alive. I don't know what else to say about that.
Before we really get into that, but all of that is very interesting time to be alive. And they said, oh yeah, the truly awakened will even be more surprised. And so, one of those things did happen today. But the basics of what we're going to talk about in just a bit is timeline adjustments are being made. So anyway, hold on, and you may have questions, or just I was going to say take it in, but it's up to you to take it in or not. But you start seeing life again a little differently, and it's like, wow. And we've been talking about how powerful we are as human beings, and all eyes are on Earth at this time for a lot of galactics. We see a lot of the galactics. Often they visit, especially when we're together, and they can give us more information. And then the last podcast, we didn't have that. And so we depended upon ourselves and going into our so-called higher selves or self, whatever terminology you want to use. We talked about, I can't remember what we talked about.
I know, and I was trying to.
Yeah, what did we talk about this last time? But we'll remember eventually. But anyway, just hold on. We're going to share what we've received, and then it's up to you. And we'll try to talk about it slowly. And because it's interesting, because what I received, my insight I received today, just kind of stopped, and it's like, I don't think I'm done yet. Then I looked at you, and you were already finished writing, because we get together and we intuit or and get our insights separately, and then we write them down, and then we share them after that, not knowing what the other person is writing down. And most always they correlate.
Yeah.
And so, what happened today was like, yeah, you finished what I had to say and went into it a little bit more. So we'll share that in just a few minutes. But as we have said in the past, we're here to share our information, our insights. And any of you listening would want to share any of your insights, please do, or any questions if we can even answer. Or you put them out there and maybe somebody else can answer. And so it's just, we're all in this together and we're working together, even though at times we don't think we are. Yet, we are part of the human, I've been using the word collective on this Earth and maybe other places in the cosmos.
Yeah, in the orchestration of it, we're creating quite a symphony. So
Yes, we are. And so, use discernment and what we have to offer today, or what we have to share, and some of it may resonate, and part of it may not. However, as we learn more about ourselves, some things may happen in your life that all of a sudden you're going to start questioning, and you're going to say, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this. And so that's the way it's been with me. It's like, okay, what does all this mean? Like you said earlier, a lot of this information that we've gotten years ago, and we kind of thought we knew what we're talking about, and then all of a sudden there's a lot more to it. So, and talking about that, about things that we received years ago, both of us are authors, and tell them a little bit about you and your books, please.
There's the story form, kind of like my spiritual awakening. That book is under the heading of When the Night Comes Creeping, and it wasn't creepy, but it had things coming to me out of left field. It's like one thing after another, and learning so much in a short amount of time, really. And so that it's inclusive of aliens and spiritual masters, and you name it. It was just all over the place, just fast track of learning. And the other book that I wrote was Walking into the Eye of God. That's sacred geometry, and it's sacred geometry as I know it. As I think I can speak for both of us, as we have been maturing spiritually, awakening more and more, you come to find out all of these things that are deep within your own being, information that you didn't study anywhere, that you know of, that you remember. Maybe you brought some of it in past lives. Maybe it's just a part of your DNA, so to speak. That's the way it was with the sacred geometry stuff for me. It's just in me, and it comes out in unusual ways. It even comes out in my artwork. Yeah, it's an interesting life.
Just a quick short version of, I won't go too deep into it, but it happened today, and I felt a human, and I said, it's like this human's just slipping in, like slipping in. I didn't know how else to say it, because that's what it looked like, and that's the word I used.
Yeah.
And then you said,
I said, oh, it's one of my pieces of art. It's called Through the Slip. But that happens all the time.
It does.
Where stuff in my art, it names itself, and it'll be something that we're going to talk about sometime in the future. So,
Well, we turn the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. But just real quick with me, excuse me. I have 3 books out. Mystery of the Universes. There's the first one's, that's what it's called, but it's actually Prophecy Fulfilled, or all the books are. So it is in another life that I prophesied that I would be writing this book. And, at the time I was writing it, I did not know that. You tend to put things outside of yourself, which I did. It's really kind of hard to, the way we're programmed. And so I found out, oh, you did that. And then I knew how many writings I was going to be writing, and so it ended up being 3 different books. So it's Mystery of the Universes. That's the first one. Mystery of the Universes, book 2. Mystery of the Universes, book 3. An awful lot of information in all of them, and a lot of it's actually what's going on today as we're seeing it. So, for instance, which I mentioned before in podcast, is the whole financial system is changing. And so I knew that years ago, even before Bitcoin came out, that, something through using the use of computers and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? and so now, all of that's come out. And so now I'm seeing it play out because our financial system, our old fiat financial system is going down. And I think many of you know that, not to be scared, because there's something behind it that's even much better. So hold on as those changes are making themselves known right now. And so we'll see what happens this week, because I think that Davos, which are some of the rulers of the world and financial people, come together in Davos, Switzerland. And so there's something going on this week. So we'll see what happens. So don't be afraid of what's happening, because something better is in its wake. What else? Well, that's basically it. You can find both of our books on Amazon and other online bookstores. So a lot of information in her books, which I'm rereading your book again still. And it's just fascinating, reading it again, because even though I've known Royce for 30 years or so, it brings back some memories, but it goes deeper into your life. And even though thought I knew a lot about it back then, it's just reading it from the heart. I mean, it definitely, you can tell it comes from your heart, of your experiences and how that affected you. So it's really very interesting. And again, it makes you look at life a lot differently than what we've been programmed to think.
Yeah, when you start paying attention to your experiences and really delve into them, it's amazing the stuff that you learn about yourself, about everything, and how everything is so connected. It's one thing, it's just amazing.
It is. Well, a while back, we had talked about in our podcast, and I'm not sure which podcast, I didn't go back and look, about there will no longer be timeline manipulation. And I remember getting that information maybe starting 3 years ago. I'm not quite sure. We're seeing it. This is where we're going to go deep. We're starting to see that, and it came up again today. Timeline adjustments are being made, and you're like, what? How can that happen?
Try to figure out what's the difference between adjustments and manipulation, and it's kind of the intent behind it. So the malicious, malevolent manipulation is no longer going to be tolerated. But the adjustments, that's something else.
We were talking about this today, about the Mandela Effect, how that even come into being. So in other words, do you all know what the Mandela Effect is? Do you want to explain it?
Well, you explained it earlier today, and that was really good. Just do that, about how it got started.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela, and I don't remember the dates, but He was, I think, the president of South Africa, right? One of the African countries. So,
Mhm.
and we thought he had all passed away, and it might have been 80s or 90s, and I don't remember. But we all felt he had passed away. And all of a sudden, he showed up saying he was in prison for quite a few years, and then he comes out in the forefront, and I believe he becomes president again. And so we're like, wait a minute, what changed there? Or were we just told that he died, and then he didn't? So, which it could be, but there's been other. So that's where the Mandela Effect terminology came in, and so you may remember it one way, and all of a sudden it's different than how you remember it.
Yeah.
And it may go into names, little icons on cereal boxes and various other things that you may remember differently. And then when you go look at it, then it's not how you remember it. And so what changed? Did you not remember it correctly? Which some people will think that. But then other ones are saying the same thing. I don't remember that being red, and how come it's yellow now, or whatever it may be. I've thrown that out as an example. So, I think more of this is going to come up because of the timeline adjustments that are being made. It's like, wow. In addition, with the timeline adjustments, is it part of the adjustments being the energy that is now hitting the earth from the solar storms that have erupted off of the sun and all the changes in the sun the last few days? I mean, very powerful, for lack of another word, solar storms, and that energy just hit Earth last night. And so it's going to cause some Earth movements. And I know we talked recently about the Earth burping. And so there might be some more earthquakes and volcanoes, that sort of thing, because Earth needs to remove some of these energies out of her body. In addition, we have the alignment of many of the planets. I believe 6, and that includes our moon. But don't quote me on that because I'm not in, that I have a lot of knowledge. I just know it's taking place. So that's all going on right now. But we turned this now moment. So anyway, you want to add to that?
Well, the alignments are facilitating adjustments. So it's maybe not necessarily that the alignments what is causing the adjustment, but it's facilitating the energies from that alignment are facilitating the adjustment. And that's what I can say about that.
But and part of me says, well, isn't that a time thing?
Not a manipulation, but an adjustment for the greater good.
Yeah.
And not from malicious or malevolent intent.
Okay, good way of putting it. All right, we're going to go into our insights and just listen and see if you just listen and your thoughts, write them down, but or not. But here we go. You ready?
Ready.